it's the weekend, and only in Ohio does it go from 63 degrees down to below freezing in a day. So we're going to switch it up, and instead of do a book today, we're going to do some work in the kitchen. Before we start in the kitchen, we always start with clean hands. So I'm going to go ahead and wash my hands, get cleaned up. Hope you guys are enjoying. And today we're going to do a recipe along with some math, and hopefully your parents will cook with you in the kitchen, because you're hanging in the kitchen with Principal Griffin. Today we're going to do cookies, and I'm going to teach you the recipe for my favorite cookies, oatmeal raisins. But obviously, if you don't like raisins, you can make it your own. You could do chocolate chips. You could do my wife's favorite, the butterscotch morsels. You could throw them all together and create some sort of monster cookie, which I'm sure would be really delicious. But we start off by preheating our oven to 375. So I'm going to go ahead and push bake and take us up to 375 and get our oven nice and warm. Remember, always ask your parents if you can have permission for the kitchen. We want to stay safe. See here, we're going to start with 1 1/4 cups of all-purpose flour. That's fun. It gets messy, so be careful there at home. And then we're going to I'm going to use a 1/2 teaspoon. For those of you who don't know, a teaspoon and tablespoon are often confused. A teaspoon has the little TSP, so a lowercase t and then SP, whereas tablespoon has a capital T. You kindergartners, I know you've been working in foundation, so I know you know that. Okay, so we're going to start with a 1/2 teaspoon of salt right into the flour. Go ahead and sprinkle that in. I'm going to do a 1/2 teaspoon of ground cinnamon. Sprinkle that. And then we're going to do 2 of these because I want a full teaspoon of baking soda. So 2 halves make 1 whole. So I'm going to go ahead and scoop, level it off the best I can. And again, 2 halves make 1 whole. So I'm going to do that. And then I'm going to use a fork and just kind of mix them all together. Just get them nice and combined here. Now, my wife is typically the baker here, so she loves making cookies, but I figured I'd give it a go today and teach you the old oatmeal raisin. It makes the house smell good when you're stuck inside in quarantine. So next up is our sweeter ingredients. We're gonna kind of lay the base for our batter here. I'm gonna start with a whole cup of butter. That's 2 sticks. If I wanted a 1/2 cup, you guys can tell me how many sticks of butter I would need. If I needed a 1/4 cup, how many sticks of butter I would need. Think about the math there. A 1/4 cup would be a 1/2 stick of butter. A cup or a 1/2 cup would be a whole stick, and then a whole cup of butter is 2 whole sticks of butter. So then we're gonna go ahead and add 3/4 of a cup of sugar. And the ding back there tells me my oven's nice and ready. It's hot and ready to bake our cookies. So I'm gonna go ahead and put I need 3/4 cup. So I'm using a 1/4 cup measuring. So that means I'm gonna do 2/4 and 3/4. And then I need the same of brown sugar. Brown sugar has less calories, but still gives it that nice molassesy and sweetness, which is great for cookies, especially my favorite, the oatmeal raisins. So I'm gonna do 3/4 cup of these as well, so that's 1. You wanna make sure in baking you do as exact as possible, so you need nice and packed. That's 2. And we said 3/4 cup, so since I'm using that 1/4 cup, we're gonna go ahead and say 3, okay? Awesome, and then I'm gonna set those in front. I also need 2 eggs. You wanna be careful when you crack these not to get any shell in there, so I crack and toss. And I do the same thing again, I crack, boom, and toss. And then we need 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract. I like pure vanilla extract, but again, you can get that imitation. It works just as good. So we're gonna do, I have a 1/2 teaspoon, so that's 1, and we have 2. Looks like this. Now we're gonna get ready to mix. So as you can see, I'm gonna use our good old-fashioned hand mixer here to incorporate all those ingredients. I already started a little bit, but again, you always start on a slow speed. You kind of work the sides of the bowl and make sure everything gets incorporated. You see that butter, because it was softened, easily starts to mixed with the other ingredients, and we're creating that sweet base for our cookies. Now we take our dry ingredients that we put together earlier. We have that flour, our baking soda, cinnamon, and salt, and we start gradually adding that to our mixture. So our wet ingredients, the butter and the sugars. Again, gradually means slowly. So we don't want to clump it all up and put it in together. So we slowly add our mixture of flour so it all gets incorporated. Okay, now it wouldn't be oatmeal raisin cookies if we didn't have the oats and raisins. So we're going to use some old-fashioned oats. We're going to do 3 cups. So I'm going to measure out 3 cups. 1, 2, and a little bit short. We got my favorite California raisins. We're going to go ahead and put some of those. Again, I'm just going to kind of eyeball this because I like a raisiny cookie, but we'll put those in there kind of liberally and mix those in too. So again, slowly, I'm just going to kind of, little accident. Use a kind of a melon scoop or ice cream type scoop. I'm going to use it for cookie scoops, I guess. And you just take some nice round ones and you go ahead and get cookie batter rounded onto your cookie sheet. And we did grease this sheet. Some recipes do call for ungreased, but we went ahead and greased it just to make it a little bit easier to get the cookies off. So now we're going to go into the oven. We have 12 on our sheet. We're going to go into the oven. If you like a good chewy cookie, it's 7 to 8 minutes on 375. If you like a more crisp cookie, it's 9 to 10 minutes. I'm kind of an in-betweener, so I'm going to go 8 to 9. We'll have cookies here very soon. So now's that time. We're going to put on our oven mitt. Again, we always want to protect our hands when we're pulling anything out of the oven. Kindergartners, first, second graders, if you're pulling something out of the oven, you want to make sure you have your parents do that just so you guys can stay safe. But let's take a look and see what we got. Oh, it smells delicious. We got nice hot cookies coming out. Our oven woke Emily up. The smell of cookies is great. We're going to go ahead and take them off the cookie sheet and put them on a cooling rack so they can cool and get ready to eat. Now it's my favorite part of cooking is eating. We're going to go ahead and try them. They've cooled down a little bit. Still warm though. Oh yeah. They're crispy on the outside, nice and chewy on the inside. Raisins give it a great bit of texture. I loved having you here. Thank you so much for hanging in the kitchen with Principal Griffin. Take a look below for some math prompts that go along with our recipe today. Thanks again. Go Mustangs.